One devotee came by name Perumal Raju. He was on his way to Tirupati. When he came to see Bhagavan, Bhagavan said, Perumal Raju, you are going to see Lord Venkatachalapati. Yes, Swami. And then he put his hand deep into his pocket and brought out a 10 paisa and said, Perumal Raju, when you go to Venkatachalapati, will you put this in the hundi and ask Venkatachalapati who this beggar of Tiruvannamalai is? Will you ask him? Yes, Swamiji, I will ask him who the Swamiji is. No, Perumal Raju. You must ask Venkatachalapati who this dirty beggar is. Will you ask him? Of course, he had no other choice. He said, yes, Swami. And he took the 10 paise. He went to Tirupati. And there was royal treatment, unlike ever before. And then he went to the Sanctum Sanctorum, had good darshan. He saw the hundi, he forgot. He was about to walk away and suddenly he remembered. He came back again. Even as he approached with the 10 paise near the hundi, there was some powerful vibrations that took over. He could see a vibrant, living presence there. And suddenly a noise, the vibrations turned into a particular word. And finally he could hear it distinctly. It is Nenuda, Nenuda, Nenuda. Nenuda means myself. In Telugu, it's a Telugu word because the man was a Telugu man. He's a great soul himself. So he heard it because just before he dropped it, he prayed to Bhagavan and said, who is this beggar of Tiruvannamalai? And that's when the vibration started, gathered into a particular sound, and then he heard it distinctly as Nenuda. Now after that he came back to Bhagavan, and Bhagavan was eagerly waiting. Perumal Raju, did you hear what he said? Did he say anything? Yes, Swami. What does it mean, Nenuda? It means myself, Swami. Venkatachalapati says, myself, this beggar of Tiruvannamalai is myself. Yes, Swami. Are you sure Nenuda means myself? Yes, Swami. No, Perumal Raju. It means verily myself. So you see, this is one episode, and I myself experienced another one. It was an Arudra Darshan day when I was longing for Shiva to dance. I had identified him as Lord Shiva, and I heard that Arudra Darshan day, Shiva danced for Parvati and some intimate disciples. And people are all going in crowds straight into the Sanctum Sanctorum. And here I was thinking, how is that these people don't recognize him for what he is? This is Lord Nataraja in flesh and blood. You can see him, you can touch him, you can interact with him. He can show his grace to you visibly. But people are so blind, they're going straight. Such were the thoughts. And often he always picked up others' thoughts. He knew what was running in everybody's mind. So he would give me some sharp glances now and then. And then before I knew, I said, will this Shiva dance for us today? This is Arudra Darshan day. It's only after asking him I knew that I had asked. Because I never would open my mouth. I used to be very scared. There was such magnetism about him that we always wanted to be with him. And if he said, go away, it would be a broken heart for us. And very reluctantly we would leave him, only to come back again. So that was all. There are other stories like that. But that day, after I asked, I was so scared that he would ask me to get out. Instead he said, why not? I thought I didn't hear it right. But then he began to converse with those people around very casually. And suddenly he pointed to a moving leaf of a peepal tree. There was a breeze and the rustle of the leaves. And I saw, he said, Devaki, see, Shiva is dancing. And I looked up, imagining Nataraja dancing there, but all I saw was the leaf moving like this. Had I not seen it 100 times before? What does it matter? It is just the movement of a leaf. Why would he point out and say Shiva is dancing? I dismissed it. Such was my state of being at that time. I didn't find any significance in it. And then he knew that I didn't pick it up. Again he went into conversation with some people, the local villagers. And then again he said, Devaki, look, Shiva is dancing. Now this time it was the clear blue sky and 3 white birds gliding gracefully in a certain formation. It was really beautiful. I was caught by the beauty of it, and I even thought if Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had seen it, he would have gone into deep samadhi. Such was the beauty. But then I could not find any significance as Shiva's dance. So he knew I missed it even that time. And then again he indulged. The villagers would come bringing some buttermilk or something, some kool or kanji. He would happily take it, share it with them. Now this time, a lady came with a carrier and with a banana leaf. She said, Swami, I have made kali for you, because kali is very dear to Lord Shiva. I have made and I have brought it for you, Swami. Oh, all right, you just keep it there. And then he said, come. He pointed to me and said, come. He made me sit by his side. Imagine it is the temple, the entrance of the temple actually. On the one side we are all seated, and on the other side people are going in crowds. Now, in front of all the people, I was sitting next to Bhagavan, and they had put up a banana leaf there, and he said, Mami, you serve that kali to this lady. She started serving. I was so scared to look at her face, because she had brought it all the way for Bhagavan. And Bhagavan was saying, you serve it to an ordinary lady. And I was so scared to look at her. But then when I looked at her, she was smiling. Then I knew that she had moved with him closely, and she was familiar with his bizarre ways. And then when I just had it, Bhagavan said, eat. When I was about to eat, we call it maravate in Tamil. I don't know whether it's called centipede or millipede. It was coming very fast. It's a black thing with yellow spots on either side. It was coming very fast towards my kali. So I lost my focus. Swami was no more present. I forgot him completely. I forgot that I was sitting in a temple. Everything was forgotten except that. My complete focus was on that, and I felt the disgust coming up. I thought I would vomit. Such was the emotion. And I was looking at it, and I was so scared that if it climbed up the kali, I wouldn't be able to eat, rather I would vomit. And then his voice boomed from behind, Devaki, see, Shiva is dancing. And when he said that, something happened to me, because these realized souls, these great, great souls, when they say something, the words are accompanied by the power of the self. The divine power accompanies their word. It went straight into me, creating new vibrations, and suddenly it is as though I had different eyes, that special eyes, and I saw literally beauty, the graceful movement, and Shiva. Minutes before, it was a disgusting creature moving very fast towards my kali, and I would vomit. And minutes after his booming, that Shiva is dancing, it was Shiva with such grace and beauty moving towards me. I am telling you 100% truth. I am not telling you anything which is out of my experience. It was Shiva dancing. I saw Shiva's dance in that movement of the disgusting creature. A profound truth that every movement of this cosmos is the movement of Lord Shiva. What a truth! How profound it is, and what a simple Leela. And if the Leela developed by then, just then it was developing into a situation, he used it, a very simple demonstration, to prove a profound truth. This is a jnani. They would use anything to accentuate the truth. This is what Yogi Ramsuratkumar made me see that day, that everything that's moving in this cosmos is Lord Shiva. His movement, his graceful movement, and there is beauty, order, divinity. It is to our twisted mind that it seems very disgusting, because we have definitions for good and bad and beauty and disgust. So when we look through the ego self, we find all these differences, we get affected, we react strongly. But from their view, there is only God. Often Yogi Ramsuratkumar used to declare, my Father alone exists. There is nothing else, no one else. So this is Yogi Ramsuratkumar. As I said, I saw Ramakrishna Paramahamsa in him, the way he walked and danced, the way he sat, the way he would be the first one to prostrate before anyone. If any Mahatma came, he would not wait for any of the gestures. He would prostrate, saying, for example, any ordinary devotee would come from Ananda Ashram, he would prostrate saying that you have come from Ananda Ashram, you are bringing my Papa's blessings. If anybody should come from Kanchipuram, you have brought blessings from Paramacharya. And then he would prostrate to them. I was often reminded of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa who would do that. So such was the simplicity. Always remember, simplicity goes with profundity. They always act together. The most profound would also be most simple. So as I said, all this again and again, and my own experience made me call him Bhagwan, and he is known as Bhagwan Yogi Ramsuratkumar today. And there are thousands of stories from different devotees, how by just uttering Yogi Ramsuratkumar, they have been rescued from different situations. A sick person, or as I said, accident, or recently a lady from Madurai, she's 47 years old. She could not, the couple did not have any child at all, but she was very sure, like the bird. She said, I would chant Yogi Ramsuratkumar Nama, I would get a child from him. She was chanting and chanting and chanting for more than a year, hoping all the time. She refused to go through any treatment also. He said, I trust Yogi Ramsuratkumar's power, and I'm chanting his name. He would definitely give me a child. With such a determination, she was chanting and chanting and chanting. She conceived recently, and just 2 months, 3 months back, she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. Just by chanting his name. Anything can be achieved by chanting his name. There was a man who phoned up from Dubai. He came to the ashram, he cried and cried. He said he had given a loan to a bank, some 200 crores. He was working in a very, very popular bank, I think it's World Bank or something. He recommended a particular company and gave 200 crores as loan. 9 years had passed. They had not returned the money. It was the corona time. There was no hope of their returning the money at all. Meantime, the bank where he was working reacted. They said, look, you have brought it upon this bank. We would throw you into jail if you don't get the money back. And what is more, we would terminate your services once for all. So he was in a very difficult situation. He came running to the ashram. He was crying and crying. I just said, you chant Yogi Ramsuratkumar mantra with faith that he would definitely open a way for you. When one door closes, another door will open. So he chanted this mantra 1 year, lagatar, at the end of which it will be very hard to believe the same company to which he gave the loan came back and paid 250 crores. It happened very recently. 50 crores extra as interest. And now his own bank had given him the highest position. Just imagine what situation he was. He was about to lose his job, his honor, his dignity, and what was more, 200 crores. Where would he go for that money? He had to spend the rest of his life in a jail. How the situation completely reversed. But he had to chant for 1 year. That's why I'm saying, don't get frustrated easily. You keep on chanting and chanting and chanting, because the karma, if it is very bad, it may take a little more time. You go to a shop, if the man says this sari is 1,000 rupees, and no matter how much you bargain, he says, no, amma, it's only 1,000 rupees, go away. You pay the 1,000 rupees and get it, right? So, for everything there is a price. Now, this is the price of namas. All that you have to do is spend some more time chanting the name with faith. If there is faith, then there is no need for even quantity. But if there is no faith, if there is no devotion, there is no concentration, increase the quantity. Don't stop it. Even if you feel dry, even if you feel that chanting the name is mechanical, don't stop it. Just go on chanting, chanting, chanting. Increase the number. The quantity will bring in quality. You will see it as an experience. This is what Yogi Ramsuratkumar taught me. He said, don't ever stop chanting. Just go on doing. Another thing he would say, the fate, the prarabdha karmas. We do not know what we had done in our last birth and in the births before. But the prarabdha karmas have to be worked out. There's no other go. Even the avatars have to go through that. Even the great Mahatmas go through that. So he would say, keep on chanting the name. Even if you leave a small gap, your fate can enter and play the Leela. It will be the Leela of the fate. If you want Leela of God, you have to keep on chanting the name. If you want your fate to take over based upon your past karmas, you have to go through the agonizing experiences. There's no other go. So, Nama is the redeeming grace for all of us. I'm only telling you two, there are ever so many. Our Kurush had darshan when he was affected by corona. He's here, he would tell you. Each one has some story or the other, not just one story, several stories to tell you how Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagavan came to their rescue in their most terrible moments of life. This happens even today. We know that problems are endless. We have to remember that this Nama, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, is a great gift of God. He used to say, Father has given a new name to the world because it is necessary, and it's a name meant for liberation. Not only liberation from our problems of life, it gives you liberation from the vicious cycle of births and deaths. So take to it. Yogi Ramsuratkumar used to say, you put it in the test tube and experiment. See for yourself. You don't have to believe what I say, but you can experiment and see. There are many, many foreigners who come to the ashram from different countries. And I tell them at the end of my satsang, please chant this name in case. I'm not asking you to give up your nama chanting. Whatever mantra you are chanting, it's okay. But in case an emergency happens and you want instant help, instant guidance, instant protection, just call out Yogi Ramsuratkumar and see. Some of those groups, will smile very obligingly, but they would never do it. But they go through some circumstance or the other, and finally next time when they come back, they would tell me the story. Amma, we started chanting, and then this happened. The Nama worked. So this is happening repeatedly because we don't have time enough to repeat all those stories. I just gave one or two. And there was a very important thing that I want to tell you. Why do we suffer at all? Okay, it's a past karma, and it pays back only in the next janma. We don't know. It's a very mysterious equation of God for the continuity of creation. And so, mostly we suffer bad karmas only in this janma, and the karmas that you make now, you will have to go through in the next janma. So you have to be very careful now. One word of abuse about anybody, Yogi Ramsuratkumar used to say that's a cosmic register. Your word of abuse will get registered there. And it will wait and wait for the right moment to come back to you. It may come back to you in the next janma or in this janma itself, depending upon God's calculations. But it will surely come back and hit you. Your word of praise about somebody, you can be sure, even that would get registered, will come back to you in the moment you need it. So it's very, very important that you behave, that our behavior is such that we don't hurt anybody. We don't throw abuse at anybody. And to the extent possible, help. The only 3 things he prescribed. Chant the name all the time if possible, otherwise chant as much as possible. The rest will be seen by God. The rest will be seen by God is His concession. So let us keep chanting the Nama to the extent possible for each of us. The second thing is, he would say, that it's God inside, the Chaitanya, Antaryami, the indweller. It is He who has put the breath in the body, and because of the breath only you are doing all the actions. So, He is responsible for your action. He is the only doer, and you don't exist except as an instrument in His hands. And therefore, try to feel from morning as soon as you get up till you go to bed, I am only an instrument. It is He who is doing the actions through me. It is He who puts the thoughts in me, words on my tongue, and actions through my hands. If you practice this and keep talking to Him, as I said before, you will be able to feel, even when you think that the thoughts are coming from Him. At that level, you would be so much refined, only good thoughts, lofty thoughts would come to you. As you keep on practicing this, no evil thoughts, no vicious thoughts. And your actions also will become efficient and powerful. And your words will be very powerful. So practice this. And the third thing that he suggested was, help people as much as possible. Don't think they are suffering because of their bad karma and keep quiet. You have to rush to help them, and that without any expectations. Because your rushing to help them will save you from your bad karmas. This is an atonement. So he says, you help in the spirit of service to God. I am giving this help for the sake of God, as an offering to God. Then you'd stop expecting anything from the receiver. But if you expect the receiver to show special respect to you, it's finished. So one thing again I would like to remind you, this body you call your body is not yours. You have done nothing to own it. And the life breath that is put inside you, that's being sustained, is not being sustained by you. It is the Antaryami, the indweller, who is doing it. We can only be instruments in His hands. We are all robots, operated. We are machines, operated by the divine operator inside. We have to remember it. You are as much an object in His hand, as much an instrument as I am. Everyone, every creature is an instrument in His hands. In fact, the truth is, the fundamental truth of life is, it is He who has become all of us. And it is He who is operating through every one of us here. But He has put the Maya, the ego self, that we think, whenever we ask somebody, who are you? then immediately we say this so and so, this is my name, this is my biodata. We identify ourselves with the body and then we give a biodata. But in truth, we don't exist except as an instrument in his hand. It is he who is playing this game for his own delight, and that from eternity to eternity. It's like a one-man drama, one-man show. God is the director. God plays the role of the hero. He is the heroine. He is the villain. He is all the sub-characters. And he is the dialogue writer. And it is he who speaks the dialogues also. He is the stage, he is the costumes, and he is the audience. It is for his own delight. The drama is going on eternally. So we have to remember that God alone exists. There is nothing else, no one else. If anyone exists to you, including ourselves, we must remember we exist only as an instrument in his hands. We are like puppets. In the puppet show, the string pullers will be up there and they pull the strings and the puppets will play their role. And as a child, we believed that those puppets were true. They were real characters. But later we came to know, much later we came to know there were string pullers up there and they were speaking the dialogues. And the puppet was mere puppet. Like this, each one of us, we are all puppets. The divine puppeteer is inside our heart, who is pulling the strings of your in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. The eyes go into action, it begins to see, the ears begin to hear, the brain begins to work, your body begins to move, function. The divine puppeteer is holding the strings of your breath. And as puppets, we move in this world, do our role. It is he who is doing the role of all of us. So let us never forget that we can only be tools in the hands of God. But this Maya, that I am the body, is also there only by his will. Very difficult to get over this ego. That is why we say, I am offering. I am doing, yes, I am doing, I am thinking, I am talking, but I am offering it to you. Realize the supremacy of the divine and keep offering. And help others as much as possible in the spirit of offering to God, so that you won't expect anything from the receiver. So these are all some of the sadhanas, easy but powerful. Easiest and highest sadhana, which will finally take you to merge with God. That is the goal of life. God is the only goal of life. To the extent you remember God, to the extent you are unselfish, to that extent you are spiritual. There's one last thing I would like to say, which Bhagavan kept repeating. If you want to know how much you have progressed, how closer you have got to God, he would say, the higher the interpretation that you put upon any happening, the closer you are to God. For example, if there is a man lying down on the roadside, a drunkard would think, oh, he has drunk something like me, and you see it must be a better it must be a better wine. And see, you see, he's got this kick and he's lying down without any movement at all. A Mahatma would think that he's in Samadhi. A doctor would think that he's a patient, he has to be attended immediately, and you would go near. So depending upon our mindset, we react differently to different situations and people. But remember, try to put only a higher interpretation. The closer you are to God, the higher will be your interpretation. And the reverse is also true. The higher the interpretation you put upon any happening, the closer you are to God. So always, immediately don't think badly of people or situations. Give them the benefit of the doubt. They could have done it. You do not know. You do not know what's going to happen to you 5 minutes from now. You do not know what is behind. Your consciousness is very limited. Because the pure consciousness inside, the divine consciousness, it filters through your ego and your consciousness becomes limited. But you have still consciousness. So you hold on to it. Chant the name and go to this pure consciousness. So we have to transform. This life is given to you, this body is given to you, only to get transformed so that we too would realize that we are God. That is our nature, the blissfulness, the peacefulness. We are the embodiment of bliss and peace, but we have forgotten it because we identify ourselves with the body. So let us take to the path of bhakti. He also would say, don't bother if you don't have devotion. Don't bother if you don't have faith. Don't bother if you don't have concentration. Just chant the name. Keep on chanting the name. Increase the quantity and it will bring quality. Just as you practice the first time a song and you don't get the raga, and then you practice it several times and finally you get it right. For that matter, any practice. So with this, it's my prayer, my earnest and intense prayers, sincere prayers to Bhagavan Yogi Ramsuratkumar, that all of you who came trusting his wisdom, who have gathered here in spite of all the demands that the life makes on you, be blessed always, that he be with you all, helping you, guiding you and protecting you and taking you to the ultimate. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.